Then suddenly I saw it, with only a slight churning to mask its rise to the surface. The thing slid into view above the dark waters, vast, Polyphemus-like and loathsome. It darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds. I think I went mad then. Dagon is a deity that I've mentioned in passing, and some of you may recall the narration of Lovecraft's short story titled Dagon, but surprisingly enough I haven't made a video devoted to this particular character. The first real descriptions we get of Dagon appear in Lovecraft's short story titled After the Deity, written in July 1917 and later published in the November issue of the Vagrant magazine in 1919. In this particular story, our narrator is an unnamed, morphine-addicted man who recounts his experience when his cargo ship is captured by a German sea raider during World War I. He eventually manages to escape on a lifeboat, but ends up drifting aimlessly. But he does notice the water resembles a horrid black sludge and is littered with the carcasses of decaying fish. Eventually the seabed becomes dry enough to walk on, and after several days he comes across a gigantic monolith made of white stone, with aquatic hieroglyphics etched onto it. The narrator then describes sculptures of figures that he believes to be men but who also resembled fish, almost worshipping this monolith. This of course refers back to the deep ones, but perhaps not the ones we see in Shadow of Innsmouth. These figures are described as being similar in size to a whale. This may be referring back to the ancient deep ones, which were also called Dagon, likely because they were much larger in size, similar to the deity they worshipped. The narrator then describes a vast Polyphemus-like, stupendous monster of nightmares, with large scaly arms and a hideous head. Seeing this creature wrap itself around the monolith, the narrator then flees for his life into a great storm. We don't know for sure if the figure he saw was Dagon himself or just an ancient deep one, but we are led to believe that the man's descent into madness and drug addiction came from witnessing the Great Deep One. Dagon is mentioned quite often throughout Lovecraft's work, and sometimes he goes by the name of Father Dagon, who along with Mother Hydra rule over the Deep Ones, or so we're led to believe. We know Dagon was considered a great old one, but we don't know exactly what he looked like, other than a gigantic, scaly, amphibious humanoid, so you are free to use your own imagination to a certain degree. Dagon is of course worshipped by the Deep Ones, but he does also have a human cult located back in Innsmouth, known as the Esoteric Order of Dagon, which perform rituals to appease the Deep Ones as well as their leader. There is one theory that claims Dagon wasn't always a deity. He may have once been a regular Deep One until he was chosen by the Starspawn of Cthulhu. The Starspawn were known for selecting individuals from a species and then giving them the ability to protect and empower the rest of that species. They normally only select the most impressive specimens. What they saw in Dagon, however, and why they do this, we don't know. It's possible that Lovecraft drew his inspiration from Dagon, the Mesopotamian god of fertility, as well as Dagon, the Philistine god of agriculture that also features in the Old Testament. There was also the misinterpretation of the god's name in Hebrew during the Iron Age, which led to him being seen as the god of fish. So I guess it does make some sense that the god of fish became Lovecraft's god of weird fish-men hybrids. I honestly don't really know. Trying too hard to make sense of Lovecraft's work seems to be a fast track down the path of insanity, and I guess that's what he intended. So before I do go insane and anger any more fish people, I guess I'll end the video here. Feel free to share any thoughts with me in the comments below. As always, I've been your host, Mythology and Fiction Explained.